Yo, ho, hey, hi. This is welcome to your very special, extra Patreon episode. It's episode 2 on
We got to
Patreon.
give this a name, though. We got to give it a name, like
Aunties
maybe
After Dark then.
party or after dark. Do you know what I mean, or something? I feel like
Okay then.
we need
What
a
is it?
name for it.
So it's
What
not
you go with?
Aunties After Dark or Aunties After Party? Let's vote. Guys, tell
I
us.
don't like either of those.
Oh, all right.
Maybe
Put me on the spot.
maybe
No,
the guys can give us some suggestions.
Yeah,
as well.
I meant actually our Patreon family to give us some suggestions.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like that suggestion.
What do you think?
Tell us what we should call this. What should it be? But it is episode
2.
2.
Episode 2. Patreon of the Aunties. Anyway, les Aunties. We're here and just, we've had a great show. We had a wonderful guest, Vanessa, on. She's brilliant. She was brilliant. Please watch back the live show. We just had some overspill, man. And we need to get straight into it. Who do you want to go, DL or Red Pill? What are going for this?
Let's talk about the show that we weren't on.
Okay, go on.
That Auntie Nana made me go on.
I absolutely didn't.
Auntie Nana forced Auntie Sade.
Auntie
Sade said
forced me
that she had reservations, and Auntie Nana was like, "We're doing it."
I put it to everybody.
I need more alcohol.
Go run.
Oh, can I? But I'm telling the story. Yeah, sorry.
No. I'll tell my version while you go and get your alcohol.
Yeah, okay.
So what had
this
happened?
Is where the truth lives, isn't it?
This is it. Yeah. So what had happened was I was just minding my own business, and then Nana just suddenly put a message in the group, and she was just like, "Sade, you have to come to this show." And I was just like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I can." And she was like,
"Leave me again."
You have to. She was like, if you don't come, you're letting everybody down. So I was just like, I felt really guilty. So I thought, yeah, let me do it. So then I was rushing around. I dropped absolutely everything. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'm doing, do you know what I mean?
And you rang me crying, didn't you?
Yeah, I was totally crying. And I was like,
okay, now. That's threatening me.
She helped me get myself together and just focus me, But then I was watching some videos when I was like, just before I was going, and I was just like, I'm not sure if we should do this. Not really sure. So I rang Auntie Nana. And I was just like, you sure we should do this? And she was just like, yeah, it should be fine.
What were your reservations, though?
She was like, if you don't do it, I'm going to cut you.
Yeah.
Basically, I thought I was going to get shanked. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know if people were just going to run up on me and rush me. Like, I had no idea. But no, but for real, my reservations were because the clips that I saw seemed to me to be like people who were in a very kind of dangerous space, like presenting a message that could potentially be dangerous to especially vulnerable minds or young minds, right? So just in terms of like how they were speaking about women, how they were like positioning purity almost kind of thing. I saw a few clips like that, like that is like the aspiration kind of thing. And you know me, I don't like anything that's like judging women for their behavior, especially like sexual behavior and things like that. Controlling. So I didn't know whether I was going to be the right fit, to be honest, as well. And I was just, and you know what, if I'm being totally honest, one of my things was like, I don't actually interact necessarily with a lot of white people outside of work, right? Do you know what I mean? So I was just like, I'm not sure how I'm going to fit into this space. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be welcoming or hostile or anything. But actually, everyone was really nice. And when we came, everyone was like really respectful, really like welcoming, apart from one lady who didn't say anything to us.
So what was a
long time?
Yeah. So what was the what next? I don't know. What
the subject of the show was women let your men cheat. That was it. So already it's provocative. It's like, like you're really playing to a certain audience here. Like, do you know what I mean? You already got people's backs up. And Pearl, who's the host, her thing is about getting people with really strong polarizing opinions together to have a discussion. And And God, without, I don't even know how to put this, but like, I feel like in terms of like how she presents and how she manages the conversation, I just thought she was a bit of a mastermind. I'm not gonna lie. She's very, very, very good at what she does. I just fundamentally do not agree with her message, and I do not agree with the types of guests that she has on and giving them a platform to spew this kind of I'm gonna go so far as say hatred for women. Do you know what I mean? But it's very disguised in this, like, I'm just being a man. I'm just, this is just my opinion and this is just how men are. Do you know what I mean? But actually, every bit of what they're saying is a tool to oppress women further. So they don't even have to say anything. They will just do it themselves. Right?
Who are your fellow guests on the show?
Oh, over to you, Nana.
All right, this is going to be interesting because I'm obviously only going to hear everything that is in your intro when I'm doing the editing, so I don't know like how you, because I'm in the shed, so I've gone into the house to go to the toilet, so I don't know.
We told our Patreon family that you actually slapped Sade 4 times to make her get on the show, and you threatened to cut her.
Okay, so all right, from my point of view, how we got to Pearl's show and who was on the couch with us. I commented on her. I noticed on YouTube she was getting very popular, and she was coming up in my algorithm of going down rabbit holes quite a lot. And so I commented on her Instagram page. She went onto the Aunties page, probably watched a few of our videos, and then got in contact. And generally, that's the tactic I do for any type of invite to anywhere. It's just, it's what you do with Instagram. So yeah, she got in contact. We were on a panel with people who I did not know, but seemed to be quite well known in the red pill community. So one of them.
Pause. Please explain for those people who don't know, who is the red pill community?
Okay, all right. Red pill came along soon after the Matrix came out. And so obviously, you're taking the red pill or the blue pill. Red pill in its originality was about consciousness. And some angry men created an incel type of community because they weren't able to find women. And so they decided that in order to live their lives and be comfortable, they created a code of conduct, and they are now called the red pill community. It started off way more about consciousness, but it's morphed into how men and women relate to each other, so that average men and men of high value can go around conquering the world and keeping women by their sides. This is the red pill community.
And this is like an extension of the game. Neil Strauss is The Game. I don't know if you remember in the early noughties, there was a whole thing about a guy called Neil Strauss. He had a book called The Game, and he got another one. I actually bought.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah. Literally,
like how they negged, and neg was a term, a shortened term of negative. How to basically be negative towards women, but yet attract them.
So and then you pulls them in. The more you're like, oh, I hate you, and oh shit, and don't pull them back. And then women are like, oh my god, I love this guy.
Yeah,
he's so horrible, but I love him. So there's a whole community. Lots black and white are written there. It's super negative, but also that obviously you need a counter to that, because the community is growing and seems to really be thriving at this moment on YouTube. And within the black space, Kevin Samuel, Fresh and Fit have kind of resold it to black men. And so there's a lot more black people kind of jumping on this shit, which I think is really dangerous for black women. So that's why I keep an eye on it, because it is like, actually, the more you allow this to fester, it gets to your sons and your nephews, and you don't know how it gets to them. And then you're a bit like, where's these views coming from? And it's just spotting those guys and arguing them if you have the time. But I like debating, so I enjoy it as a sport. So that was when she got in contact. I was like, cool. So I put it to you guys. Who wants to come along to this YouTube show? I don't remember if I told you guys about what the subject matter was in the first instance, and I didn't know who the guests were. So when we got there, one of the guests was a porn star. We literally didn't know until we was on the couch that he was a porn star.
Who?
His name's Sterling Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you know him, huh?
they know who Sterling Cooper is.
It's so funny that we both said it at the same time. No,
Exactly. I'm like, do you know him?
I know who Sterling Cooper is because I think he came on a show. He came on a show. We did.
Oh,
So that's why the name is.
I kind of liked him.
No, do you know what it is? Sterling Cooper was the name of the advertising company in Mad Men. That's why I know it.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's why I was like, hold on, I know Sterling.
Sure, it's Sterling Cooper is his name. I think so. I haven't got it wrong, but I think it's
actually. I felt his energy was the best out of it.
For me, I
I
thought he was the nicest of the three guys. So Sterling Cooper, porn star. Then there was a small guy with a squeaky voice called Troy.
Walker, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know about him. I put him in that box. But Troy. Again, we met him in the foyer. And when he said I'm going to the flat number, me and Sade looked at each other like where are we going? Because he was like, so I'm going to flat 4. Like, if you watch it, you'll know what we're talking about. He's the one that's sitting on a stool in a beige suit. So yeah, we was already like, I don't know what we're going into, but I was up for the crack because it's a story. And then the other guy is called Justin Waller. Yeah, is it Justin? I think
Justin. Yeah, you're right. Justin. Yeah, you're right.
So Justin was the leader of the prick gang. He firmly believes that men are led by their dicks and they will absolutely cheat on you, and this is the way of the world, and he stands by this. At one point he wanted to show us all nudes from a girl that had just messaged him.
Shut up.
Yeah.
We had just sat down.
100%.
Ew.
But his words were, I quote, "This bitch just sent me some nudes." So I'm just like, what?
We had just sat down.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, already, is that when you got up?
No, because I didn't. I was looking around like, what the fuck? Where's the exit?
I kind of feel like God had our backs, that we weren't all there.
Probably. Because then he said something along the line, something, I'm gonna fuck her in her ass.
What?
Yeah.
That's when I got up. Because I was just like,
he's so Pearl is like, you can't show me the news.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I mean, if she's gonna send me nudes, it's unsolicited. Like, and then Pearl was like, so what are you gonna respond back to her? Then he did the voice note back. If you're sending me your nudes, you better be ready to have sex.
Oh, he's that.
And we're sitting there, and I literally am like, oh, I'm with the whites. Like this, okay. Like, I'm in this now. We're with the whites. I looked at Sade's face, and she was literally looking out to the corridor. So I've looked at, she's looking out to the corridor, like, I could probably make it out of here in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
She was looking out. So I'm tickled by this. I'm finding it quite humorous. But at the same time, I am a bit like, these are one of those things, like, when you're telling people when you died, they're going to be, why did you go into
Listen, mate, all that's going through my head is like, these are the type of people that take you and sell you into slavery.
This is what I'm saying.
That's going in my head from you explaining. You went to a flat, you're in the foyer.
And the thing is, you couldn't even the key to get out into the other area as well. So it was just
you knew all of it. I knew that's why you were looking.
Just like, how are we gonna get out? If there's an issue, how the fuck are we gonna get out of here
later?
You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's interesting that psychology is very normalized to us. That's what I thought was interesting. It's just like, there's other scenarios of I could be in scenarios with known gang members. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feel safe.
Fine. And we feel fine. Because you know your people, innit? Because you kind of want to say that we all know gangsters and shit like that, guys, Patreon guys, family guys. We're not saying that, but you kind of know your people in your environments when you know your people in your environments. But going to that space, all this, I'll be thinking serial killer. I'll be talking slavery, trade, black market.
Man.
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal type Lecter scenarios. Ooh.
And I don't know, me personally, I get very quiet in those situations.
Yes.
I was just-
Because you're obsessing with escape.
Big Eye's quiet. Big
Again?
Eye's quiet.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
it's just wide eyes looking around. So I'm there like, this is really, but Sade is like
yeah.
focused. She ain't even noticed me watching her with a big grin on my face. Like, this girl was ready to bolt. She's gonna leave. And then she got up. I think I got distracted, turned, Sade wasn't next to me.
Whoa.
And she's literally in the corridor going like so I get up and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, do you think we should stay? I think we should leave.
You guys are laughing, but I was deadly serious.
No, I'm laughing because I can imagine you and I've got your back bit because I'm like, the whole situation.
Bro, and the thing is, it would be long.
I've just got used to it. Like, I'm not used to being around men that talk about women like
Not
that.
in
I'm
that
just
way.
not like that. It's awful. It was actually disgusting, to be honest. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you don't know us from anywhere at all. Like, and I do think, not all the time, but I think like there is an association sometimes with like men who are really oppressive to women and have really conservative views to going into that racist kind of space. So I didn't know what we were dealing with.
What we're going to get into.
I have no idea. Like, where's like, if you're so easy to say that, could you just fling in a little N-word? I don't know.
Like, absolutely. You're absolutely right. From the minute he sat down and is talking in such a derogatory way, openly talking about showing pictures and shit like that, he's got zero respect for anyone other than himself.
And from when
that was his mentality.
And from when you got into the topic about bitches, and the way he was casually like normalizing bitches and hoes, and anyway, you guys can expand. Yeah, he's that guy. He's definitely called a black woman or two N-word bitch. 100%.
He probably
I think all of them have
slave games.
Yeah. But I think within that realm, I think the black women that are in it would accept it. Like this was what was fascinating for me is I'm looking at them like, surely you can't believe this. But then as I'm reading the comments, it's like
there's a world out
there's a whole set of people whose worldview is like the absolute opposite to mine, and I find that quite intriguing. Like how are you existing? Like what?
Yes,
this is so weird that you would really like the thing that they kept on saying is feels over reals or something like that. Like no feels over reals, and it is like you shouldn't have feelings in reality. Like reality doesn't accept feelings, and you know when you're just like this is so stupid because you guys are literally in your feelings commenting on video. Like it's you're so dumb. So there's their comments that are literally like, you idiot.
What was the topic? So what was the kind of topics that you covered? And do you have clips? Do you have anything to play?
Okay. All right. So again, while we were just chatting, I think somebody mentioned Fresh and Fit.
No. Yes.
Remember before we went into it, somebody said something about Fresh and Fit, like something like they're great, and I went, what? And then they were all like, oh my god, so you don't like Fresh and Fit? And I was like,
so explain who Fresh and Fit are. They're horribly let me not go on.
Fresh and Fit have a podcast based in Miami. They bring on lots of women, and they basically what they call this thing is called red pilling. So they'll bring women on and you try and get them to subscribe to how men think. They say this is how men think, and if you want to successfully date, you need to know how men think. And the thinking that they say men have is that generally they will cheat, they will have more than one woman, you need to accept it, and they tell men to kind of guard their hearts and keep women at a distance, and generally women will like you more when you're horrible to them. This seems to be the thing.
That is a trade on that. That's the game. That's the game.
So, I bring up Fresh and Fit? Did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. When I was watching it back, I was just like, it was you. But we talked about a lot of things. So we talked about I think she like posed the question to us, like, have we ever been cheated on? Everyone had to say their age as well. All the men were in their 40s. So they're our age group. They're in, do you know what I mean? That we would have been at school at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Can I just, because my mind was going, I couldn't understand. And then the more you explained this Fresh and Fit thing, then it came back to me that they were on an Australian, it's the guy that was on the Australian show.
Yeah.
And he was chatting out of the crease of his bum.
Yeah.
And they kicked him off.
Yeah.
So Myron. That's the Myron dude.
I was like,
Myron is the Sudanese one, so the lighter skinned one with a big ass bold patch in his head.
Yes.
And then the dark skinned guy is Walter, and he's from Barbados. But yeah, he's from Barbados.
Thank you. Sorry, Auntie Sade.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. So we talked about, like, have you ever been cheated on? Did you leave? Or did you leave, or did you stay? They asked, what did we talk about? We talked about, do you think women can be influenced by money and stay in a relationship if the guy's cheating? We talked about what did I don't even know, like so many different things. Like one, like Justin's, I don't even know, his thesis is that you as a man this is
Can I say what made me laugh? Whatever you say next is going to make me laugh, but what you said, it sounded to me like you said feces.
Oh, he's chatting shit.
It's very, very,
it did sound like feces.
Like very fine line. So his thing is that him as almost like as a high value man, that he can have a woman and it's not, he will see other women and it's not even cheating. That's not cheating. Yeah. That's just the way it is. And that is natural, normal. There should be no issue with it whatsoever, kind of thing. But I think like maybe we went into a bit of a different space because I wasn't happy with them using the word hoe. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? So I was just like, I'm anchoring this from the beginning. We're not doing that. Do you know what I mean? So it should
they cut that down probably in the first 10 minutes.
Well done.
And what I thought was very superior was watching it back, how they adhere to it. And those are the things where I was like, that's the spirit of a Black woman. Like sometimes we have to be in places where we absolutely are like, this is fuckeries, but there's something about our spirits in there that could tell something. And they remember, even when he tried to go back to it, remember it was one of his brethren that was like, ladies.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And it's like sometimes we're like the salve to bring it, dial it all the way. Remember, they are the newest humans on the block. And sometimes it's like we have to be there to just rationalize shit. And I was like, that happened very quickly because they were going in with the whole shit. Like from the jump,
even Pearl as well. Like, do you know what I mean?
That was weird.
But so they all dialed it back, and it was like, you know,
it changed. I think it changed the mood and it changed the tone, and they weren't expecting that either. You know, like at all. And the thing is, it was a bit like not condescending, but it was just like, what was you expecting, bro?
I've seen the guests that they've had on.
Yeah.
They definitely haven't had many people our age on there, and they haven't had many people our experience of being able to talk. So I think from very early on, as soon as first question, because I answered first, I think when they were all a bit silent, like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, I think that set a tone of, you don't know who we are.
Yeah.
So what you think is going to happen isn't going to happen. But then I think when they spoke more, watching it back, I wish the thoughts that were going on in my head, I had a mic, I should have just jumped in more, like way more than I did, because there was so much shit that they were saying. And in my mind, it was like, this dude's chatting shit. I should have just said it on the mic. You're chatting shit. This is stupid. Like, just been a little bit more vocal.
You know what? I get the position that you lot were in though, because I can understand where there's a pressure for us, and because I think Nana, the exploration of where we place ourselves as aunties, where we put our voice and what we put our voice toward, I think is rectifying the madness of the world. I definitely think that's where the aunties definitely fit. But it is like, is it going to be an echo chamber? Is it wasted? Are we wasting our energy? Are we damaging our energy being in certain spaces? And are we saving the world doing Captain Save, not save a hoe, but save the world? Because as with Black women, we tend to save the world with, as you said, our salve, our resolve, our wisdom, our kindness, and stuff like that. People do listen to what we're saying. But what I felt was a bit mad when I was watching it was like the way that they were talking about hoe. Well, when they did mention hoes in context of Fresh and Fit, when they were calling them geniuses.
Mm.
Sorry, I actually went off point when they're calling them geniuses, but I just wanted to just actually finish what I was saying, that you lot being conscious of not coming across as the women that they tend to surround themselves by, where they are where they feel empowered to control them and game them and red pill them. That's the women they're surrounded by. So when we all enter those type of spaces, we're trying to be measured and make sure that you will never have us in that category where you can talk to us in anyhow. We will not have it. So sometimes I could see that both of you were listening. I knew exactly how both of you were feeling from your expressions. And so I with you, Nana, I kind of wanted like more of you to jump in. But at the same time, it's like when we were on Kojo's show, it's like being measured, because what I find very important when we do find ourselves in these spaces is making sure our message is loud and clear. And sometimes these type of people can rile you up to the point where you're not even being clear because they've triggered you, and then you just sound like squawking birds, being typical Aggie women, and then you come across as not listening and da-da-da. It's very difficult because
I was going to say that, because that's also annoying, because that's also something about being a Black woman, because you have to be conscious of the fact of you don't want to come across in a certain way. And I should be able to tell you you're a fucking dickhead. I should be able to say that openly and not be judged, but you have that whole balance in that, don't you?
I can't lie. I underestimated that whole situation. Like I was not prepared for that, and that literally stunned me into silence at points. Do you know what I mean? Because there was absolutely, like, I couldn't believe that these are grown men who actually think this. Do you know what I mean? And I think there was one point I was just like, but you, like, if you literally think that women would never cheat on you because they're in love, like, women are taking the piss then. They have to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, what the fuck? Are you that stupid?
I think we said it a few times, because I literally was like, do you really believe this isn't happening to you? And what do you get from this belief? Like, I'm genuinely, but none of them answered. Genuinely, do you really think that you haven't been cheated on? And does it make you feel good?
That was insane, then, right?
They're the same type of men that will also say that they've never slept with a woman who's never had like, every woman they slept with had an orgasm. They'll say that. Every woman I've been with had an orgasm. Everyone, no woman's faked it with me because I would know. And then I say to men that make those comments, but I know at least all the women I know has faked it at least once. Yeah. So if every woman I know has faked it at least once, then that means that.
Well, remember, you got those type of men that believe that women's orgasm isn't real. Do you know what I'm saying?
I forgot about that.
They actually believe that a woman's orgasm, because we create life.
That's all a part of the red community. Like that, our orgasms are fake. It's not real. It's not needed, and it's like, okay.
Like, a woman getting wet is purely for the man to be able to get where he needs to get to. It's not in reaction to our feelings. So when I was going back to what I wanted to say about them calling the Fresh and Fit guys geniuses, it paused me in my strong Black womanness. It's like, you got these bunch of white men, and I think Pearl was also agreeing with them. She was kind of like, the
thing is, she's so clever, because she'd be like, I think they're a bit rude. But some of these girls, the way they act, the way they talk, the way that, so she really normalizes their extreme behavior. I
think that's why I like watching her. It's like watching. It is watching like that kind of mother hen.
She's a puppet master.
maneuver pieces. So she literally was like, their message is a bit strong for me. And its tone, I love hearing people. Their message is a bit strong for me, but they are helping men.
Do you know what?
Their message it may not be to our liking, but they're helping. And I'm watching her like, oh, I see how you're maneuvering. This is chess.
This is a
I like watching folks do that, like in real time, because then you know how how they move pieces and you see the holes. I see she says stats. Where are they coming from? Because when I was doing debates in school, you had to cite where my stats were and what type of study created those stats. So you just telling me, but the survey says, bullshit survey. I can say the survey says PIM. Where did that survey come from? How was it funded? I'm watching it and I am like, oh, I love this. Like, dude, we can do this all day long. Like, I've been doing this since secondary school. It's fun.
I want the world of the Karen. But what I was going to say, that white men calling these black boys that are belittling primarily black women geniuses is something. I felt uncomfortable and I was like, what are you saying? Because we already have in society where there are white men that profit off our low base sensibilities. So then you've got the white men controlling the music industry where they will have a Bobby Schmurder on a table dancing for his record deal, talking about guns and drugs and killing, and he'll be dancing on a fucking table. Those are the people that run the world. And then you're calling these boys geniuses.
Saving lives was what
saving lives for men.
And not just men, women and children.
Yes.
Geniuses.
No, it was an absolute lesson in like how to influence people, how to kind of like coerce people into a belief system, because that's essentially what they have. They have a name and a term for everything. Like it's kind of, do you know what I mean? And this is like I listened to a podcast called "It's a Little Bit Culty," and these are like the pillars of starting a cult. That's literally it. Have your own language, the way you speak, like kind of thing. You kind of like reinforce your message gently, like continuously over and over and over again, and you're just literally there to spread your message into whatever program it is that you're trying to sell. And it's just like that's exactly what they're doing. It was for me a little bit frightening. Don't like it over there.
The first clip was about was the Fresh and Fit bigging them up, where they, and then the second clip where the guy in the blue suit, whichever guy that was brainwashing, talking to the woman that had been cheated on. That, watching those 15 minutes, I was like, first of all, I'm glad that clip is out there. I'm glad I watched it, because we have toxic. I think when you're in a black space, you have toxic black men always in our faces. It's always about toxic black men, and the whole narrative where black women, if you can't find a black man, you should go and find a white man, because they're going to treat you so much better. But actually, people tend to forget the world is run, and I'm not blanket terming anything, but the world is factually run by white men who have destroyed the world. The world is not in a good place. So if you're good, like, the world is not in a good place, and it's not Idi Amin, it's not whichever black African dictator they want to roll out and cuss, whatever. It is white men. And I'm kind of, the only thing I'm glad about that man talking, it's a gift and a curse. At least we can see there are toxic white men out there, because I don't think you see toxic white men in this way. There's a lot of black men with podcasts, as black men with platforms, whatever you want to say your phrase, Sade. It's that thing. But we don't see a lot of white men with those type of platforms in that way, because I think they're there.
You know what? I literally, in the beginning of that, you can hear me saying, like, you know what? I don't think you need to say what, do you know what I mean? You don't need to answer anything. Yes. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, she has to deal with things how she wants to deal with things. And then I kind of shut up, because then I thought, you know what? You love this. Do you know what I mean? So who
play a little bit?
You know what I mean? So I was just like, you know what, suffer. You know,
hang on. What I've actually queued is Fresh and Fit.
okay.
Shall we just see a bit of that for a second?
Sure.
And then the other clip, because I think that's
the show. Hang on, let's see. It should come up.
God.
People just continue to serve things.
Do people? I don't agree with that. Do people walk away from like? I see people sitting there arguing for hours in person. I don't think they walk away.
Yeah, they do. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. People get into fist fights. Fist fights would not exist if people walked away from conversations.
So you see what I mean? My point is just that, you know, it's not. It's kind of like an unnatural way to consume things like that. And I just think that. I just have a real issue with it, and so where I'm making a face is because it's my genuine reaction that it makes me uncomfortable because I feel that they do a lot of damage to their audience.
But let's be real, those women can give as good as they get as well, right? I mean, some of those women are like real, you know.
The thing is, it's more about the audience, right?
Yeah.
The people that are watching it, and if they go out to the world and then speak to women like that as well, or think it's okay, or don't understand, like, okay, we can understand, maybe because we're in it and we're exposed, all that kind of stuff, but the average person watching it, they don't necessarily understand that it's just dramatization. They don't get that.
But there's a lot of
that is wrong, and I think it's irresponsible to continuously perpetuate that kind of message.
But what are they? What are they? They're not telling them how to. Like, I don't. What have they specifically said where they tell men to like call women hoes or call women this?
No, but they don't have to do that. What it is about just subtly, repeatedly putting in certain messages into their content or talking to women in a certain way and repeating that process over and over again, where it becomes the norm. So therefore, you don't have to say that overt statement. You can just subtly.
But that's
say
you
something.
Reading between the lines, though. That's you like taking how you. Like you can't say they didn't say it, but this is what they're saying.
But couldn't you say the same about like hip hop music and all that stuff?
Oh, that comment about hip hop music, I fucking hate.
Yeah, so that's when I was just like, I just kind of had to find a way to shut that down, because I was just like, okay, so what then? Like, well, that was like, I was in my head. So what are you gonna say? And then he was just like, people. I think someone else chimed in. It was like, women will be in the clubs if Lil Wayne is saying, I hate Lil Wayne anyway, but Lil Wayne is saying like ho and bitch and stuff, they're gonna be shaking their ass. And I'm just like, well, as someone, because he was like, oh, that's their culture, and I'm just like, well, who's someone who's part of their culture, I'm telling you it's a bit much. And he was like, well, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Because I was just like, well, where are you gonna go? Like,
he definitely says the N-word.
Yeah.
It's just like, why can't I say it if it's in rap? If you're saying it in rap, why can't I say it?
I don't know whether that would. I did feel myself like go. Okay, we're gonna go. You look like it. Like, but he backed down. So yeah,
I can see how she's manipulating the conversation. Definitely.
Play the bit where the brainwashing clip, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, it is brainwashing, though, isn't it?
So 1 second, I'm just queuing it up to get that part. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Sade, you give your thoughts, because I, at the end of it, after his spiel with her, and when we finished the podcast, hugged her, because I saw an overly small woman who, I've been around women like that. And I don't want to say any names because people would know who they are, but generally they have eating disorders. They're hugely insecure. When she said she had lost her parents, I was like, okay, I have friends like you. And that level of insecurity is preyed on by men. So I spotted that in her. It was like she was too small. She's like a size 4, head's too big, deeply insecure, talks about Botox and everything. And these men will latch onto that type of a woman. So I really felt for her. Like, you don't even know what you're getting into, but I know you want a community. And these guys, you're seeing them as they are that for you. But yeah, I felt for her. What did you think?
I did not. I'm not gonna lie. So like, although like what you're saying in terms of like her traumatic experience and stuff, of course, do you know what I mean? Any person that's gone through something, like I feel for them, I have empathy, of course. But a couple of things. She didn't greet us when we came in. She was the only person that didn't. I didn't appreciate that at all. She made no effort to make any sort of like contact with us at all, and I noticed it. And then for some reason she was quite trying to challenge what I was saying for some reason. So I was just like, okay, cool. Maybe that's your thing. And then it's like, you want this fame, you want this notoriety, you want this thing. So you're prepared to put your whole relationship out there and almost let yourself be in this position to be taken advantage of. And she didn't really want the advice. And then the final straw for me was when we had finished afterwards, like when Nana's talking to her, she turns to me and says, "Is that your hair?"
What?
Shut up!
Swear down. So I'm just like,
yeah,
okay, bitch. Suffer. Like, seriously, I'm not here to what do you call it, to comfort you. Like, fuck up. Like, it was just so odd. I was just like, no, babe, of course not. And then she was just like, oh yeah, I've got hair extensions too. Yeah, I can see that.
That's why I said as much as yours is.
How is that? Do you know what I mean?
What is
we don't have to talk to each other. And this is my thing about people who are not from the same community of us. It's like I will match your energy. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. If you're welcoming to me, then I'll be welcoming to you. If you're polite to me, I'm going to be polite to you. Don't come with that bullshit. That's mad. Like, seriously, you don't know who the fuck I am, and do not let me fool you. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't let this little voice fool you. No, like, seriously. I was just like, let the sharks eat her. Come on.
Play the clip.
You know that he's seeing other women. That's creating distance between you.
I didn't
when you
say
could just
I
talk about
know-
it one time.
I didn't say I know that he is. I don't know.
You said that you have
there's
a sickening
there's
feeling.
there's a high chance.
Right.
There's a really high chance, but it just hurts too much to even like bring that up.
Then write him a note. Do something, because I'm telling you, what you're costing yourself is if he feels guilt about it, and I promise you he does, especially in the Western world, then what's happening is he's only loving you to a certain degree, and he's protecting himself because he's worried that if he gets caught, you're going to leave. But if you could just snap that and let him know that you already know, because you clearly already know, if you could just let him have that, you would be shocked at how much more capacity to love you he would have, because he would be able to trust that he can love you fully.
Yep.
Sorry, I just had to hold it there because the level of bullshit that this dude is saying, we do not know her man
at all.
This girl, look at her arms. Clearly has issues. She is super insecure. She's managed to be with some dude who even knows if this is real. And you've decided this man is just like me. He's a high value man who has a high sex drive, and he is sleeping around. And you should tell him, sleep around, and I'm still going to be here, and I'm not going anywhere.
And not only that, what he's doing in this moment is making her feel guilty.
Yes.
For not letting her cheating man know that she knows he's cheating, and it's okay, babe.
Exactly.
She's making her feel fucking guilty.
I hate him.
It's so, like, honestly, it's so bad. This, like, he's what he was doing was, it was actually kind of difficult to watch and be in the room. Like I said, I just was unprepared for this, but she did not want to stop the conversation. That was the thing. And several times I tried to give her an out. Nana tried to give her an out. Like, she brought it back. So it was just like, okay, if that's what you want to do, okay, go for it.
It was so uncomfortable, and it was tense. I was looking at everybody's faces, and everybody looked like,
do you know
what? Go into a sullied place. Like it was like, this is treading on dodgy waters, because it's dodgy. What you're doing is, and I did think in the comments, somebody was saying, you know what? I actually think he was trying to mac her. He was trying to speak.
Yes, Emma, that was the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
He gave her his number.
Yes.
He did.
And he's
Oh,
gonna use her.
Oh
So-
no, he did. Yes, he said, yeah.
I walked. I was standing there talking to Pearl, and both of us, spidey senses, were like, something inappropriate has happened. We were in mid conversation talking about equipment, and we both stopped talking and looked at them, and they were like, "So you should just come over to our hotel, and then we'll record a podcast together." And then she got quite loud and was like, "Yeah, I'll come with Pearl. I'll come with Pearl." And she said a few times. So then Pearl's kind of like looked at them and was like, "Yeah, it's fine. I'll do a podcast with you." Then they turned back to her and was like, "So can you come tomorrow?" And she was like, "I don't think I can." "Pearl, can you come with me tomorrow?" And it literally was like, they're piranhas, vultures, sharks. Like, they've spotted you. Flipping, put on some, you've got a woman up. Like, this isn't okay. They'll eat you alive. You think I'm doing this feminine thing and I'm being super feminine, so I'm gonna capture masculine. They will abuse you.
Yeah.
And it was just annoying watching her fall victim to this because she doesn't have parents. And it's just like, no, you don't know what you're getting into. They're shocked.
They prey on women like that. That's their easy. They go on like they're high value men that can go high class women, whatever the case. But their fodder, their daily blood, as like we talk about vampires, their daily blood is a low hanging fruit. The people that the bottom feeders of their life, their sustainability, is vulnerable women. So
And sorry, just to add as well, like at one point she says to him, you know, you look like my dad. Like, I was like, don't tell him that.
About that.
Don't freaking tell him that. He's gonna. And the thing is, it was just like there was a little bit of break from that, and it kind of went back, and it was just like he was literally using all of his like power.
Basically ticking the boxes. Everything that he's saying to her is ticking the boxes to manipulate her and get her into bed.
Yeah.
Sorry, hang on. I don't know if I can even do it. Maybe I think this may be it.
Leave.
Are you still with her?
Are you still with her?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's gone to an advert. That part that was just coming up. We don't even need to watch him any longer. But that part that was coming up was when he's saying he had a conversation with his girlfriend now or girl.
Yeah, but you know he lied because he said he was single. So like
it's textbook.
Yeah.
But he says he has a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says he has a girl who has accepted that he sleeps around.
Yeah.
And he did that with her. He said to her, I like you, but I'm gonna cheat. And she accepted it. And then he gets his flipping brethren, the porn star, to step in and be like, she's wildly in love with him and she is gorgeous. She's amazing. And then he's like, it's working for us. And you know when you're just like, whatever.
You're lying. You're in your mid-40s. You're lying.
You're lying.
You're also
he says he's... No, he said, I think he said he was 30. He ain't. I don't believe he's 30, but he said he was in his 30s, but I don't believe him for a second.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Troy said he was 48.
Yeah.
Sterling, I think, said he was like 41, and then Justin said he was in his late 30s. I think it was 38.
Oh.
I literally looked at him and was like, I don't believe you. His chest was absolutely giving me the ick.
The thing is, you can't see where the lights are, but he was like beetroot red.
I just said that. I literally just said he's pink like a beetroot. I literally just said that.
I couldn't stop looking at it, like just like, you guys' skin. It's not like one color. Like, I was so like, it's not one color. It's like loads of different colors. Like you can't hold. There was so much going through my mind. I'm like, you can't even hold melanin. You're from Louisiana. You're from the South. You spend a lot of time in LA and Miami. You're surrounded by the sun and your skin is rejecting you. Was just going through my mind. Your skin is rejecting you and you're talking about your big dick. It was just kept on like, look at your skin. And I'd look at his chest and it's just all red and blotchy. And it's like, you can't even hold the sun and you're talking about women. Like what?
But really? that's again textbook of this type of man. He's filled with his own insecurities, and his only way to get around that is to make women feel like fucking nothing, so that he can feel something. It's disgusting. He's a pariah. It's disgusting.
All right. So in conclusion.
In conclusion.
What's the question?
Yeah,
in conclusion.
This movement needs to end, and I hate that there are women pushing this on other women. That I can understand the men that are doing it. As I said about monogamy, I think they know that what they are, species wise and everything else, because you're not the creator of life. I think that inherently has a bit of an envy. And so I get it. I can actually understand male contempt. But when women feed into it and try and get other women to take this shit on and be a part of this community, that bothers me. And it may just be a personal one, but I am like, I'm for while I'm interested, it's not going to last for long. But while I'm interested, I can argue with them. That's my conclusion. While I'm interested.
Yeah, I just think they're really, really, really dangerous, and they scare me. So,
it scares me what he was planning to do with that girl.
Yeah,
because he definitely had a plan for her. You can see it on him. It's disgusting.
Awful. Well, I mean, guys, that's us getting into it on our Patreon episode. This is what you're going to get. Aunties going deep and exploring some crazy situations out in the street, in the internet streets. Thank you for taking one for the team, guys.
You're okay.
Next remember, she's invited us back, so you know if you want to come.
I'm curious, but it won't be the same. But
no,
come and experience it, dude.
You want to bail me out of jail?
That's the thing.
Is that the headline you want?
You'll know very quickly, like you can't even react, like the code switching, because you can't even react because then they've got you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I get it. Yeah, totally.
Even that clip of like the fresh guys, what are they called?
Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, Fresh and Fit guys. Like the way that's set up, like it's mad. It's mad. It's actually a bit mad because even on the caption, you didn't say that. What's on the thumbnail?
Like, I never said that they hate women. I didn't even go into that.
You didn't say that, but you know what I mean? But that's how they use you for their messaging. Do you know what I mean? And like for them to get attention. I just don't know. I think it's dangerous.
I mean, I do think that they hate women though.
I mean, how can you not?
It wasn't misrepresentative. It was like, I do think they hate women.
You can't.
They're also idiots.
Yeah,
they could have said she thinks they're idiots. That would have probably been more accurate.
You can't continuously call people bitches and hoes and have that mentality and talk about you love women. It's impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
It's impossible.
And we didn't even go into them talking about night riders, and because I was very aware that we're not in a space with other black folk.
Yes, yeah. They don't have the range for that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Like to go into colorism and what they've said, and it was just like, you know what, you guys are firmly licking their asses, and there's also enough people that have watched their material that are like Fresh and Fit are the lowest of the low. So I was like, you guys can wax lyrical on this. The test of time will come when Black Twitter will find your asses as well, talking about their geniuses. I was like, that's the most stupidest thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
But it's testament, and also Fresh and Fit should understand how if men like that are rating you, what the puppet that you are doing the bidding of the messaging that they want out there. You should be embarrassed and ashamed.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, guys. So it's late, right? This was a late episode. It's now 11:30. I know certain people got to get up and go to their big boss jobs and shit, and we got to get up in the morning. Do we do DL and Monique, or do we go to bed?
I mean, but I don't know.
We're still due to do an Insta live because we haven't done one in time.
Okay.
So shall we give Nicola, that Insta Live, and then we discussed Monique, and probably there was a couple of things that were really good on our list that we didn't get to, and we discussed it. And we do that another day.
Maybe because this week is a bit mad, but yeah, let's see what we can do. All right,
to go to bed.
Yeah, let's do an Insta Live for the crew, and we'll talk about those things.
All right, my loves. That was our very special Patreon episode 2 for you, our Patreon family.
What's happening?
Don't forget. We want to know what we want to call this extra.
The party's not done.
Oh, that's quite cool.
Party's not done. There we go.
I like that.
Let's put it to a vote.
That's a suggestion.
That's a suggestion.
Let's see what the Patreons think.
Yeah, give us one. The party not done. That's a good one. And that's it. Let's go. See you next week, innit?
See you.
Bye,
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.